Talik Williams, number 1 draft pick of the Detroit Lions this year, 2025, Ohio State D tackle. Got his bread. I'm interested in how they do it now, man. Back when I played, like, guys, it was all the way up until August, and when guys are going to get their bread, when guys are going to sign into camp and get a part of that camp. But now they do it early. They get it out of the way. Talik Williams signed. Only one yet to sign now is Tate Ratledge. Once he signed, we'll be done. A lot of questions about who this Talik Williams is. Everybody wants to know what type of player he is. You know, he played at Ohio State. Heard some good things about him during the draft, not necessarily during the season. Well, here's a guy in here, Detroit, that has some things to say about him.
This year, just your initial feelings about Talik, and then, I mean, he's really physically gifted. I mean, what is the ceiling for a kid like that?
You know, sky's the limit. He's a good kid, and, you know, he's pretty smart. He sits beside me in meetings, so it's cool to just hear his answers. He doesn't talk very loud, but he knows the answers to the question. So me being a vet, sitting beside him, it's always fun just watching the rookies kind of be like, you know, I don't want to get it wrong. I'm like, who cares? Like, you know, we're in a room, so it's been fun just sitting there watching him talk about it. But he really, really smart. He picks up the playbook really well. Can't wait to get to see him moving around and just see what's going on. I watched him a little bit at Ohio State. I was just really impressed with his game.
Love to hear that. Love to hear that a veteran like DJ Reader is impressed with his game in the sense that he's answering questions. It means he's in that playbook. He's dialing in, so that's good to hear because we don't know who he is. You know, we're excited. We're excited with the optimism, but at the same time, we understand what that pick could have been, what people were thinking in terms of a rush in. They pick up Talik Williams. Maz, where are you now? You've had a couple weeks to settle from the draft. You see what people are saying about Talik Williams, your new draft pick, pick 6'3", 330. How are you feeling about Talik?
I'm feeling really, really good because this guy is going to wind up taking over for DJ Reader, whether it's this year or next. They're not going to keep DJ Reader with that money. This kid is supposed to take over for him. And from what I've seen and from what I've heard from guys like Brian Baldinger and others, this kid might have been a steal at that particular time. A lot of players say, a lot of teams say, hey, he was a second-round talent. But you know what? They didn't think Jahmyr Gibbs was going to be the talent that he is as well. And the more I read about that and hear about that, did you know the Jets, Joe Douglas, was set to take Jahmyr Gibbs, and the Lions moved around and they got him before them. The Jets thought they had him dead to rights. They wanted to give Aaron Rodgers all these weapons, and it didn't work out. So I'm thinking the same thing on Talik Williams. This is Brad Holmes' bread and butter. It's the draft. Now it's time to have these kids, all these players that he's drafted, to come together and have their best season ever and get us to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, no, it's funny. They ended up drafting Breece Hall that year.
Yep.
So there's a lot of truth into what you said. Another dynamic back, but as of the first 3 years in the league, we know he's not Jahmyr Gibbs, even though he did have
Nobody is.
100% he has an injury. But, you know, Maz, he brings up a good point. You know, Anson, how many times are we going to look at the Brad Holmes pick and, you know, have our own distaste? Oh, why did you draft Jack Campbell? He's not the linebacker that you need. Well, now you look at him. He's a guy that might be in line to be a perennial All-Pro for years to come. Oh, why'd you go up and get Jahmyr Gibbs? You just did that last year and it didn't work out with Jamon. Jahmyr Gibbs seems to be working out. Here's another player that people may have wanted another thing and may have tried to figure out, why is it this guy? Why is it that we keep challenging Brad Holmes as it relates to the first round pick? Because at least that spot, we know he's gotten right 100%.
Well, I love you, Braylon, but don't include me and we, because I'm on camera at the Jahmyr Gibbs pick when 150 plus Lions fans were upset, and me and Stick are celebrating. We have believed in these guys' draft picks for years now. I'll tell you why they took Talik. They don't focus on ceiling. They focus on production. This is a guy who had more sacks from the interior of the defensive line as a freshman than Shamar Stewart had in his entire career.
Number is 5, by the way.
4.5. Or at 5, he had 4.5 for Shamar over his entire career. He had twice as many tackles for loss in his career in college than Shamar Stewart did. This is a high-character guy, a high-motor guy, a guy who led on his team, a guy who produced at a power school in a power conference, and he has all the tools that people sleep on because he showed it instead of giving you the glimpse of what might be. Dan and Brad want guys that are going to come and play and assimilate into this culture, and this guy is perfectly that.
Well said. Well said. I definitely agree. Yeah. And then one of the big things, too, when they drafted him, I was excited talking about Larry Johnson Sr., and that was my big thing in terms of knowing where he came from, knowing what he could be. But you're right, and more and more you start to think about how they're drafting guys, how they're placing guys. They're drafting guys that fit the culture. They're drafting guys that fit the beat of their drums, and their drums, they are beating mightily. Excuse me. I would be remiss to say that there's other news from another one of Brad Holmes' draft picks, a certain guy that went number 2 overall. A guy named by the name of Aiden Hudson. I think he had something to say about being cleared.
What's the next, I guess, hurdle for you in terms of getting back to doing everything?
I'm fully cleared. Yeah, it's great. I got cleared a while back, and now I'm just I'm rolling with the boys now, and it feels like I'm back to being myself again. And I'm really looking forward to the season. I'm looking forward to. I think this is the most excited I've been for OTAs in my life. This is the biggest hiatus I've had without playing ball. So I'm pumped.
Yes, sir.
Woo-hoo!
Yes.
Speaking as somebody that's come back from ACL surgery, ACL injury, to what he's speaking about in terms of now I'm back with the boys. Like, people think that you guys are always together. When you're a hurt player, your schedule is very different than that of the other players. Your schedule is you're in the training room early in the morning. Other guys aren't there. When guys are in a meeting, you're now on the practice field. You're now working out. You're now doing rehab. Sometimes you overlap rehab with those guys. Sometimes you may break some bread together. But when those guys are at meetings, you're not in meetings. There's nothing for you to necessarily meet about. Your focus is get back on that field, the rehab process. So your hours are different. When you watch film, you may watch film at night. You may get packages to take home and watch that film, those DVDs, or just log on to whatever huddle system they're using. To be back with the fold, like, that's when your spirit, that's when your soul feels back good. Like, I'm back with the boys, man. I can work out what they work out. Like, when they go to meetings, I'm going to meetings. When we go to the gym, we're going to the gym. When we do some D-line work and prep, we're doing that. So that energy, that smile that you got, it's a familiar place that I've been before, man. So definitely happy for him. Proud of the process that he's put in.
Does he still have to do his own thing too?
Yeah, 100%. Like, that never stops. Like, now that you've rehabbed back, prehab becomes your best friend.
Right.
Prehab, especially when you do ligaments and cartilage, prehab is how you stay from getting injured. The little 30 minutes before people get into the training room, the extra 40 minutes after. So that's how you stay kept. But him saying go ahead, man.
No, I was waiting for you to finish. But I look at all of these things I've ever seen my whole life, and it's these former players. As much as they loved playing, they always say the thing they miss most was the locker room and the camaraderie with the team.
Yeah, it is.
So not only are you being taken out of that, but the thing that you have focused on, your craft, being one of that 0.0001% that can make a professional league, when you take all of that away, and then you take out that camaraderie and that chemistry and energy of being around your boys, especially when they're making a run, it has to just do so much to the psyche in a negative way. When you can finally get back and actually feel like you're back and trusting your body, it must mean the world to guys like that.
I'm gonna say something, Maz. You ready for this?
Yeah.
I think Aiden gets back to form a lot sooner than we think.
I'm glad you're saying that.
I think Aiden gets back to form in terms of where he was at, in terms of the trajectory, a lot sooner. He's already ready to go now. It's May. They'll do contact sports starting in June. They'll do June contact. They'll do July contact. There'll be some contact in August. He'll be back fit. Adding that excitement, adding Talik Williams on that line, new energy. New energy is always good. When you start to see the nuances, the working, maybe Davenport is back. Maybe Davenport is in a space that they've never seen. But just seeing that, I don't know, he's going to be hungrier. You know what type of guy he is. It's my fault that you guys didn't make it this far. If I would have been playing, guys like that, like it's not the right thing, but for them, it's what motivates them. Mm-hmm. I don't know, man. Aiden could get back to form a lot sooner. And I think this D-line maybe there's some trust in Brad-ish, you know.
I hope you're right, Bray. And I can't help myself when I look at Aiden Hutchinson. I'm always going to have that wobbly leg in my head, that rag doll leg. that made me sick to my stomach when he was rushing Dak Prescott that day. They were destroying the Cowboys. I was like running up and down saying, wow, we really have a Super Bowl team. And then it all came crashing down when he went down. And they finished strong, and they still won that game, and they won 15 games. But it's not the same when you know your best player can't be with the team. And I'm so happy for him that he is back. And like Dr. Pierce has been telling us for a year now, that guys like this, they just motivate themselves. They will themselves back to health. And we'll have Doc on a little later. And he'll probably tell you again, he might be stronger than ever when this is all said and done.
Yeah, no, he definitely will, but now he's come back to a different defensive coordinator. Defensive coordinator that he knew, Aaron Glenn, is no longer here. It's Kelvin Shepard. How will Kelvin Shepard be able to fit Aiden Hutchinson into new packages? Here's Aiden Hutchinson on Kelvin Shepard.
What has your relationship building been like with Shep?
It's great. It's great. I feel like I was in his room a couple of years ago for a little bit. We have a great relationship, and he's going to be tough on the guys. He's going to expect a lot, and he's always done that. Whenever I go in that room for a meeting, you got to be on your P's and Q's. So it's very much attention to detail. You're going to. He's going to expect a lot, and that's just. It's great as a player. It's great for the defense, but it's going to take a different level of preparation. Not saying it was anything different than AG, but I'm saying the way he attacks things, it is very much, you got to know everything that's going on, and I think that's what I love about him, and I think that's going to have our defense very, very, very prepared this year.
Trying to figure out how to ask this question. What's it going to look like under Kelvin Shepard? Kelvin Shepard, obviously, is a mentee underneath AG. AG voted the best coordinator in football by the players last year. Finished runner-up, I want to say, the year before that, so you know what type of guy he is. But this isn't AG. This is a new guy. How can actually Kelvin be better than Aaron Glenn?
It's a great question, and I'm going to answer it with both coordinators.
Please do.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and tell you guys that the Detroit Lions will be a better team because of their new coordinators.
That Anson Cook.
And the reason I say that is because this isn't 2023. We aren't lucky to be here anymore. We are one of the power franchises in the NFL. And I saw a clip, I'm not sure if I sent it to you, but Ben Johnson talking about how he would prefer big plays.
Man, I tell you what, does it become an explosive play ever? Have you ever seen a tush push become an explosive play?
Does it become a first down or a touchdown?
Yeah, I like explosive play. I like big plays. So I'm not a big tush push guy myself.
And how many times, Lions fans, was it 3rd and 1 and we had an empty backfield? Because Ben Johnson prefers big plays. We are mauling at the point of attack, both defensive line and offensive line. And this isn't a team, again, that's lucky to be there, that's desperate to stay in games. This is a team that should be dictating through 17 games of this regular season. I think that you can be a little more stoic and a little more blitz happy with this team that we bring in. But I think that offensively, you don't have to have these trick plays. You don't have J-Mo throwing the ball on an end around. You run it down their throats.
That's correct.
And you dictate. And now this is a power franchise, again, in the NFL. You don't have to take the chances. And I think both of these coordinators are going to do a better job of understanding what we have and just shoving it down the opponent's throat.
That was a crazy sequence of words that you used.
Yeah, I was wondering if I was giving them
crazy
time. I was giving them time.
But I absolutely agree with the sentiment of your statement, Mass. What were we talking about 2 years ago? Chicago. This is a December game, and they were going to Chicago. I said, I just hope Ben doesn't go up there and get cute.
Yep.
I said, I hope they don't go. And what happened? He went up there and got cute, and they lost. Like, so that cuteness works for you when you a lot of reverse.
He was a hell of a coordinator.
I'm not hating at all. Yeah. No, 100%. Like, I'm on the side that he's going to do well in Chicago. I'm not like everyone else. I think he's going to do well. But there is a level of sometimes you got to put your finger in the ground and go for it. Sometimes you got to just knuckle up against the guys in front of you. And I think there'll be a little bit more of that.
I hope so. I think it's great. And I like what you said, Anson. Well said. But I do believe that we will, just because Ben Johnson was a a run and gun type guy. Doesn't mean that we weren't going to still run the ball. We still had 2,000-yard rushers, 1,000 plus out of the backfield, catching the football as well. It's not like all we did was do trick plays, but you always had to think. The other team always had to think, what are they going to do here? And I think that's going to change a little bit. Now they're going to know we're going to be a little bit more in your face. And I don't know if that'll work in the long run.
I got a little interesting insider info today. My cousin is very good friends through the marketing and advertising world with somebody that started a company called Fantasy Points. And they were hired by the Chicago Bears. In fact, they're employed by every team in the NFC North except for the Detroit Lions, which they hope inevitably they will get that contract as well. And they were hired to do the analytics for the coaching hire for the Bears this offseason. And they brought Ben Johnson to the table, and the Bears said they were not interested. The Bears then went on and continued their own search on their own for about another month, at which point they came back and asked for the analytics that they had of Ben Johnson a second time, broke them down, and decided to go with him. This is not the unanimous offensive coordinator for head coach that everyone in Detroit and the NFL nation thinks that Chicago wanted. Okay, this is who they ended up with. And I'm going to tell you right now, I really think the marriage between Caleb Catfish Williams and Osama Ben Johnson is not the right one. You got a guy that wants big plays with a guy that is afraid to check down and holds the ball too long. I think it's a recipe for absolute disaster. And Lions fans, I'm going to make you a promise right now. The win-loss record may not be as good, but this Lions team will be better and go further in the playoffs. In fact, they will be in the Super Bowl, I believe.
Well, you know somebody that definitely wants to be a better version of himself last year. He wants to be a better player. And now that there's an award called Protector of the Year, I'm pretty sure that Big Panay is going to want to put his hat in there. Name in the hat. There you go. My apologies.
I mean, at the end of the day, we control our own destiny. And that's how we operate around here. I mean, all that extra stuff, that's up to you guys. But we just put our head down and go to work. And we just build and build upon what we want and our goals, working towards our goals. So, I mean, whatever's being said out there, that's up to y'all. But it's time to go to work.
Can't wait to see Big Panay this year. I feel like he had a really good year last year, but you start seeing towards the end of the season, he did give up a couple sacks here or there. You look at the totality.
He was hurt.
That's where I was going. He was another one of those players, and you know him. He's not going to say anything. He's not going to bring you into the world. He's not going to let you know. He's just going to go out there and play. He will be healthy this year. Maz, what are you looking at Big Panay this year, man?
Well, he's just him and his wife had a baby, right? He got paid. He got more muscle than he's ever had before. He's getting stronger.
Possible.
And we'll talk about one of the best players under the age of 25 a little bit later. The Lions had 5 of them, by the way.
Yes, sir.
In Pro Football Focuses. We'll get to that a little bit later. But sky's the limit for this guy. And he is the favorite for that offensive lineman award coming up. And we'll chat about that a little bit later. But this guy, like I said, he is top 3 at his position in the NFL. That's pretty damn good to have on your team.
Tell you what, guys, Panay Sewell being ready to go, and what he said I loved in that clip, build. And that is one of the greatest things you want to hear from an offensive lineman, because he knows what his job is. His job is to build a camaraderie with his line mates, with his quarterback, and with his coaches. And Panay Sewell is a leader on that field. And I also want to go back to a point about what Anson said about the coordinators, because you're absolutely right, because you said it so freaking good. But the great thing about Johnny Morton and Kelvin Shepard is this. They have weapons that a lot of new coordinators coming into jobs don't. And these weapons are like on autopilot. And the great thing, I'm not saying that he's not going to coach them, but I love that Morton and Shepard have these weapons which provide the optimism to their game plans and how they can plan their attacks their attack schemes game by game, and it's so wonderful. What we're gonna see, I think, from Kelvin Shepherd and Johnny Morton and players like Penei Sewell is improvement. And when I'm saying, like, not that they did anything bad last season, not that they did anything bad as assistant coordinators, but you're going to see them build, and this will be an exciting season coming up for the Lions, Bray.
And you guys mentioned the fact that Penei had a couple of sacks in the second half of the season, that he was dealing with injury, but they lost cohesion in that offensive line due to injuries.
Yeah.
They had a guy, Christian Mahogany, a rookie, playing meaningful snaps on that offensive line. Now you bring in 2 other guys from the draft. I don't think that they're going to have that issue with cohesion. I don't think that they're going to have guys that they're not used to standing next to. Penei Sewell and that offensive line, I think they have a chance to be the best offensive line in the NFL this season.
I want to see Giovanni Manu this year.
Yes,
I do.
sir.
I want to see what he's got. This is a guy that I love that they moved up to get. Yeah, he was a project Canadian football player. He's huge. What is he? 6'7", 350. Yeah. He don't look like an offensive lineman. He looks like a tight end. I can't wait to see what this guy's got to offer, and of course, the new draft picks that are coming in here. Like they said, Brad Holmes, he don't go for the big hit. He goes for the long haul. He is building this team for the long haul.
Yeah, speaking of Brad Holmes this season and the talent he drafted, they will be on full display for the very first time July 31st, Maz, at the Hall of Fame game against the Los Angeles Chargers.
Yeah, that's why this kind of OTA is different. They're one of the first teams to get to practice. So are the Chargers, obviously, because they'll be playing the Chargers.
Right.
But you see the schedule right there.
There it is.
They got only one home game so far. Only one home game in the preseason. The Hall of Fame game is on the road in Canton, July 31st. They host the Falcons August 8th. That's a Friday night at 7. Then they're at the Dolphins August 16th at 1. Guess what? That week, they are practicing with the Dolphins. So they will have joint practices with the Dolphins.
There'll be fights in that practice.
And that's from Doc Macaroon. Good job with Doc. And then at the Texans, August 23rd, there's a good chance that they will have an open practice with them as well. That is not locked in yet. But there you go. That's your Lions preseason schedule. Then they get the week before the season off, which I think is going to help.
Yeah, 100%. It's going to be interesting. Just to quickly look at it, this is why I never really like preseason in terms of moving teams around. They got to go out to L.A.
Right.
All the way
Not
to
L.A., Canton.
Oh, okay, well, Canton for them. But then they have to go to Miami.
Canton home, then Miami.
Florida, Texas.
Yep.
Florida and Texas. Like that.
Preseason.
Stuff gets annoying, but I like the joint practices working with them. That's going to be really good test for Terrion Arnold, Ennis Rakestraw, DJ Reed going against Tyreek Hill. You can say what you want to him off the field. When he gets on that field, he locks in. So being able to go against him, the speed of Waddle as well, I like that. Houston Texans, you know what that secondary brings. Stingley will be very good for Amon-Ra St. Brown as well as J-Mo. So I do like the practice situations up there.
Should be fun, man.
It's gonna be good.
Don't forget, Dan Campbell used to coach the Dolphins, at least for a little bit.
I like the fact that we're starting things off against Jim Harbaugh's Chargers, the way that he's built everything on the front four and on the offensive line. Like that, what we focused on is what he focuses on. I'd love to see those guys.
What was that kid they took out of Carolina, the running back?
O'Marion?
Starter.
No, not O'Marion.
Yeah,
Oh, it is O'Marion?
Yeah.
He is a stud. Don't be surprised if he ends up better than Genty.
He's going to lead the rookies in touchdowns, I think.
I do want to mention something very quick on what you mentioned about how he drafts players.
We'll go to commercials.
It's okay.
No, I say you got
okay. Is the Lovett kid that they got in the 7th round? This is maybe the greatest gunner in college history.
On punt team?
Yes. And so when you look at that, you look at a guy that we got last year in Vaki who is basically replaced Germ. That's what they do is they go and get guys that have production that they know that are going to make this team. I do want to hit some super chats real quick before the break, if I may. They're real quick here. Michael Wary got in a couple times. Knicks in 4. Sorry, Maz. I think he meant to write
He did.
Pacers.
He meant Pacers.
If the Knicks had a bench, then they would have a shot. Shout out to Anson, Bray, Maz, and Pete. This is from Michael DeVries, who also bought 5 memberships for the chat. First thing I do is when I get off work, is tune into E&E. Besides seeing my dogs, it's the best part of my day. I feel you on the dogs. He also did apologize for not shouting out Ricky. Sorry, bud. And then Michael Wary one more time. We need the over-under for Hutch Sacks. Easy money. Listen, guys. Smash that chat button. We have an awesome setup of cards for you guys today for that prize package. So get those super chats in.
One thing you said that's dope, and you're absolutely right, is one of the biggest things in the team in terms of winning is knowing your role. And a lot of times having role, like destination or divinity, like it pisses people off. Oh, I'm a role player. No. Everybody's a role player. A superstar is a role. The 6th man is a role. But getting to the Lions, the reason why he's drafting that way makes so much sense. You're drafting guys that you're bringing in that production at that role that know what that is. You're not drafting a wide receiver in the 3rd round and asking him to play gunner in the NFL. Now he's confused.
Exactly.
100%. Matt, you know what? You've been cooking with a little grease.